Alright, what's going on, everybody? Andrew Piluk here, aka Andrew Piluk Hockey. This podcast is on the Andrew Piluk Hockey YouTube channel, as you can tell. Hopefully you guys would enjoy this. I posted on my community tab the other day asking what type of videos you guys wanted me to make. I had rumor videos up there, I had some NHL daily news stuff, and I also asked if people would want to see a podcast weekly. For now, I don't have a camera that I can, focus on me for the time period that I'll be, recording. I'm not sure how long each podcast is going to be. I'm going to aim to make them longer as they go on, but for now, this is kind of just an introductory, podcast just to let you guys know I wanted to do something like this. Now, I'm still going to be doing the Audi and AP Sports podcast. We're going to get that rolling real soon. But for this podcast, I wanted to post it on YouTube and, of course, just talk about hockey for everybody here on the channel. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. Again, it is just me doing the podcast for now. I'll have guests on whenever I can and whenever people are available to be able to do that. But for now, it's just going to be me, and I think that it'll be cool. A lot of people are looking forward to it. So hopefully you guys will like this. It'll also give me a chance to respond to comments that I wasn't able to get into detail for in my comments section, because I do get quite a bit of comments per day whenever I post multiple videos. There was supposed to be a second video going up today, but that will go up tomorrow. If you're listening to this on, what day is it, the 12th, there will be, I think, 2 more videos or 3 videos on the 13th. If I do a Leaf game review, it should be 3 or 4 videos tomorrow, so take a look out for that. So this should be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this, but like I said, it'll give me a chance to go in depth on some of the comments. For now, I won't say people's names just because I don't have permission to talk with their name in this, because I will be reading comments. If you guys are cool with me using your names, again, just let me know, because I will give you guys shout outs. This isn't for me to just diss people. It's to just talk in in detail for some of the comments for the videos, but also just to talk generally about hockey and whatever's going on. So again, just really gonna feel this out, see what goes on here. You'll probably hear me drinking some water here and there. I am by myself, and talking for whatever, how long this goes by yourself sometimes can be a little draining, so hopefully you guys won't mind that. But first thing I wanted to start off with was the video I posted today. If you're watching this on the 12th, December 12th, I believe that's what day it is. Of course it is. That's what day it is. I made a video asking if the Toronto Maple Leafs, if it made sense for them to go after Wayne Simmonds. Now, there was a pretty decent reaction to this, good and bad. But just to give my opinion on this into more detail, I think what's something that people missed in this, first of all, is the fact that this isn't me saying this is going to happen and, start to make trade, predictions at this point. I'm not saying that this is a guarantee. I'm just throwing out and I said this in the video, first of all, if you did watch this video and you only watched 5 minutes, I would just ask next time maybe if you watch the full video, if you have time. Of course, if you don't have time, that's fine, but I usually like to go full circle and give the pros and cons for both sides, and that's why I like, having people watch the whole video, because then they can fully understand. Maybe, I can help change an opinion, or at least, give you guys a different thought, rather than you listening to the first 2 minutes and maybe I say something you don't like and then you comment it. I'm not trying to have you guys completely disagree with whatever I'm saying. Also, again, side note, just because this is brand new, you might hear stuff in the background. For now, this is the setup I have. I just didn't have time to set anything up yet, because this was just kind of out of the blue. I was like, I'm just going to record a podcast. If I can do this every night, that'd be great if I have an ideal setup. But for now, it's just in my room, and I don't really have the soundproofing up the way I want it, because I do have some, and it's just sort of sitting beside me. It's not really working as well. But anyways, getting back to what I was saying, the Simmonds thing is not a guarantee. It's completely so far away from that. The Flyers could technically still get a deal done with Simmonds. They have tons of time. They technically have until July 1st. But what I was saying is, if Philadelphia continues to not be in a playoff position, and they're in a tough spot, and they're fighting in a tough division. Everybody is really in a tough spot. It seems like a lot of teams are really good this year. Wayne Simmonds has already had problems with Ron Hextall, formerly GM of the Flyers. Now with the new regime in there, they're going to meet with him again, I think, this week, and they're going to try to talk it out. But that doesn't guarantee something's going to happen. So what I was saying is, if Philadelphia feels like they need to retool a little bit, save some money for other players in free agency next year because they still have money to work with. They've got a good team, Provorov, Gostisbehere, Van Riemsdyk, Giroux, Voracek. Like, they have a lot of really good pieces. If they feel like adding in free agency, they probably can. And if Wayne Simmonds doesn't fit into that mold, Wayne Simmonds is going to have to be traded at the deadline because you're going to have to get assets back for him. A lot of people were on the fence about this. Some people were saying, well, he's not an enforcer. The Leafs need a heavyweight. I completely disagree with that. They need a guy that has a bit of grit. They need a guy who's got toughness and a guy who can match up against a team like Boston in the playoffs. Wayne Simmonds is a pest, and he's definitely the type of player that the Leafs could use in a playoff situation, and that's why I felt like he would be a decent fit. I just think that Philadelphia would want to cash in on a guy that's an unrestricted free agent if a deal doesn't come out, because what's going on right now is apparently that Ron Hextall was talking to them, and apparently a 6-year deal came up, and the Flyers weren't prepared to give him that, according to what was said, and it looks as though that obviously didn't go well, and Hextall's gone now, but it's not because of Simmonds. They needed to make a change here, and the Flyers are in a weird spot because they do have young pieces that are still growing, and they are going to get better. Patrick hasn't been to his full potential, so I feel like them maybe moving Simmonds right now is the best move, just based off the fact that if they can't get something done, because he might want more money and more term than what they're looking at, in a couple years Philadelphia will probably have Hart as their starting goaltender, which it will be great for them. I'm excited for them. I think Hart's a fantastic talent, and I've seen him play very, very good. We've all seen him play. If you're a diehard hockey fan, you can tell that he looks pretty good. Their young pieces are just going to get better. Like, Provorov is going to be much better. I think Patrick's really going to find his way. That's going to happen. And you still got great veteran guys like Giroux, Voracek, and Van Riemsdyk that, of course, are going to be great for you. You're hoping, knock on wood if you're a Flyers fan, but you would imagine Giroux is not going to have any problems. So whether or not Simmonds fits into that mold is something that Philadelphia is trying to figure out. And because I'm a Leaf fan and because it's been suggested, it was suggested on the 12th. If you're listening to this on a different day, it's probably not even going to get posted till the 13th. It's already 11 o'clock at night. It's just because David Amber suggested that this could be a fit. And he's been connected to the Leafs for a while because he is, he's from Ontario. He's lived close to Toronto. I can't remember exactly where he's from. But Wayne Simmonds would clearly be a fit for a team that's looking for a guy who's got, the power forward type of player. By the way, I should be watching that Raptors Golden State game. I'll probably watch it. If you're a basketball fan, I'll probably be watching that after I finish this up. But still got a bunch of time left here to record. Anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. And one more thing I do want to talk about when it comes to the Simmonds thing. And this is what's good about a podcast. I can actually really read your comments. And even though I've replied to most of them, and I will get to that, I'm trying to respond to more comments. The youtube.com/comments feature is way easier to respond to comments. It shows what video it's from, all that stuff, so I'll get to that. Another thing was, some people were overvaluing some Leaf assets and undervaluing Simmonds a little bit. A lot of people are saying he doesn't have a spot. It wouldn't make sense. I actually do think it makes sense. Simmonds is a guy that easily fits probably in your third line. Will get regular rotations in the playoffs, because again, this is an ad for the playoffs for real. Like, this deal probably won't happen, regardless of what team it is. Probably won't happen to the deadline, because the Flyers are going to see what they can do. They may be able to turn something around. We don't know, but again, getting back to the assets thing, they're kind of overvaluing some of the Leafs prospects, especially with the Alex Pietrangelo stuff. But hold on, I'll get to that after. I shouldn't get to Pietrangelo. First with Simmonds, people were saying it wouldn't take very much. But you have to remember, if the Flyers feel like they can still probably get something done, they'll probably end up wanting a first-round pick plus a prospect. I think that might be a little bit too steep. I would consider maybe a first and like a decent prospect, like not even like a really good prospect. If Philly's looking for like a first-round pick and an awesome prospect, then I think that's way too steep because he's strictly a rental, and that's another thing. People are like, well, you won't be able to sign him in this. Listen, I said it in the video. There's no chance that you're keeping Simmons. There's no chance. You're getting him as a rental, and you're getting rid of him in free agency. That's just how it's going to go. You're not going to be able to hold on to this guy. And it is unfortunate, but at the same time, you're going for a cup run. And I tried to explain this. The Leafs have $5 million, almost $6 million in cap space right now. Depending on if Kyle Dubas can move that Horton contract, which would free up a little bit more space for them, and maybe move Zaitsev for something else, even though I don't believe that would be a smart move right now. Regardless, the Leafs will have more space now and 2 years from now, not next season, but when Marlowe's contract comes off the books in a couple of years. So the Leafs should take advantage of that $6 million in space this year, and they should spend it. I really do think they should. You've got that open space. Do something with it. A lot of people want a defenseman. If you can do that, do that. I was just suggesting, since Simmons is under $4 million, it would make sense. Another thing, getting back to the assets, Philadelphia is going to want quite a bit, but the Leafs also don't have to overpay. There's probably guys that they can go after that will probably be a little bit cheaper. I know people were saying, oh, you can't get rid of Kapanen. I clearly would not do that. Even Andreas Johnsson would be a tough pill to swallow. I would consider it. But keep in mind, looking at the cap next season, Johnsson needs a contract, so does Kapanen, and then obviously Gardner, Matthews, and Marner. So, guys, you're probably losing one of Johnsson or Kapanen. Like, you're probably going to end up losing one of those guys, and probably Jake Gardner as well. So, I mean, you're going to have to move one of those guys. It won't be Kapanen in my eyes. It's a possibility, but Johnsson's probably the guy that would go. Maybe even a Connor Brown type of player next off season. You got to free up every, dime and dollar that you have to sign your big name players. So you're going to have to move in smaller contracts, and I brought that up. The Leafs can't also afford to give up top prospects or even like B-level prospects, because you need those guys to fill out the bottom of your roster. Because, that's the thing. You're going to have to move out bigger contracts for smaller deals. That's why the Rosen contract was just signed. The Leafs really, really need to fill out their bottom of their roster and the rest of their defensive core with small, cheap contracts. And that's something you're going to see coming up with the Leafs really soon. They're going to have to do that. Just real quick, getting off of the Simmons stuff, I will probably talk about this more in another podcast or in another video, because I know people are really interested in that stuff. If you're clicking, it's just my computer. I'm trying to read some of the comments as we go here as well. People were complaining that maybe he won't get the minutes on this Leaf team. I think he definitely would. There's a suggestion for Gardner for Simmons 1-for-1. That doesn't make sense. The Leafs can't get rid of a weakness. They need Gardner on that blue line as much as people don't like him. That they really do need to keep defensemen, not move them. They need to add. And you're gonna have to give up something to get something. And if that means the Leafs have to give up like a first round pick for straight up for Simmons, I don't know. I think I'd consider that. I think that's a pretty sweet deal, but it would probably be more than a first. And that's just how it goes. The market is looking like Simmons may be running that market come the deadline. If, let's say, Ottawa locks up Stone and they keep Duchesne, they want to keep those guys around, those are probably the Simmons is probably the bigger name that's going to be up there, because it looks like Columbus is going to go for a run. They're not going to want to get rid of Panarin. Simmons could be the main guy, and that means you're going to fetch a lot. Like, I think people forget, last season, the Vegas Golden Knights picked up Thomas Tatar for a first, second, and third round pick. And you're telling me Simmons can't fetch that? I know that Tatar had some term left, but a first, second, and a third was for Tatar last year. So the market was, you had to pay up. That's just how it goes. And, people are saying, oh, just give up Zaitsev and Brown and whatever. Like, no, like, guys, you have to be realistic here. We can't just give up whatever players you don't like, which is silly because Connor Brown kills penalties, and he actually is a very valuable, bottom piece to the lineup, especially going into the playoffs. Like, you're going to have to kill penalties and have guys that can really work for the puck. Like, let's just be more realistic is what I'm saying. And, I'm trying my best to be as well, and I think I've done a good job about that. Now, getting on to Pietrangelo, and then we'll get off of the Leafs here. We're going to talk about the St. Louis Blues, so this is a good segue. Real quick on Pietrangelo. Again, this is coming from Elliot Freeman on the 31 Thoughts podcast. He basically said that Alex Pietrangelo's name has been floated around out there, and of course we'll get to the Blues possibly getting rid of some players here and maybe turning the team around. But Alex Petrangelo's name came up possibly in the William Nylander stuff. So basically, when the Leafs were asking around the league for teams to give like their final offers if Nylander were to become available, if they were going to move him because they weren't sure if they were going to be able to sign him, uh, Elliot Friedman suggested that Alex Pietrangelo might have been a guy that the Blues would have included in a Nylander trade. Now, again, in the comments, I'm seeing people saying, "Oh, Pietrangelo just give up like a first round pick and Brown and this." Like, guys, it's gonna, for a top defenseman, and I keep saying this, you have to get rid of the farm for a top defenseman, especially a guy who this year has a deal for 6.5 and next season carries a cap hit of 6.5. You don't give up scraps to get gold. You have to trade gold for gold. You have to go for, you have to put, I think it was said on Hockey Central, you have to give something to get something. Money has to go out, money's going to come in. You have to make a fair deal. There has been trades where GMs have been fleeced before and bad deals have happened. But Kyle Dubas isn't just going to win every trade he does. And we're clearly not going to get the captain of the St. Louis Blues, who is a fantastic blue line piece for years. You're not just going to get him for a B-level prospect and a pick. Like, that doesn't work. You have to give up good things to get good things. That's why I keep saying the defenseman market might be too tough for the Leafs to dive into, because they're not sure how much they can really give up, because they need to keep those cheaper contracts for next season. So we'll have to see what happens there. But let's move on to the Blues. Now, again, this is another thing that was brought up today. I think it was Jeremy Rutherford. He works for the St. Louis Blues for The Athletic. Now, again, you're going to hear me typing because we're going to bring up more stuff here. So there's just been a ton of rumors about the fact that there might be not a fire sale, but at least names are available on the St. Louis Blues. Apparently, according to, I think his name's Jeremy Rutherford. I could be wrong, but we're gonna keep coming back to this. Probably if I keep recording podcasts once or twice or 3 times or whatever times a week, we're probably going to talk about the Blues going forward, because this is going to be a huge story probably by tomorrow. It already was tonight, but you're going to hear more about it tomorrow, and I might make another video on it too. The St. Louis Blues, apparently, according to some GMs, are listening to offers on a lot of their players, and they think Vladimir Tarasenko is a guy that his name has come up multiple times. Again, the St. Louis Blues are currently, when I'm recording this, they're 6th in the Central Division. They're not in a playoff position. They're not looking like they're a playoff team at this point. So I'm going to go on their website as well just to do a quick check. So Ryan O'Reilly, a guy that they picked up, and this is where I want to start off actually before I get into the statistics. So with the rumors going on with them, and them possibly listening to offers. Again, I think it got misinterpreted. People were like freaking out on Twitter saying, "Oh, all these guys are available. Tarasenko's available." It's not a guarantee that these guys are 100% available. It's just that they're listening because they have to. They're not playing well enough. There's a trade freeze coming up in like less than a week. Teams are probably going to be making, some trade offers just so that way they get their team together, and by the end of the Christmas holidays and all that stuff, they'll have a team to come back and, for the second half of the season or whatever. And, well, not really the second half, but, a quarter, or it's past a quarter, regardless. After the Christmas break, whatever, they'll have a team that's set up, and then they can go from there till the trade deadline. And the St. Louis Blues are one of the teams that's been kicking around some, trade suggestions and listening to stuff, and Elliot Friedman even said they're probably a team that's going to be active at least. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. The St. Louis Blues, if you guys remember, were pretty active this summer. They traded for Ryan O'Reilly. They gave up quite a bit for him. Again, guys, I'm trying to tell you guys, you have to give up quite a bit to get good talent these days. They signed Perron. They got Bozak. They spent a ton of money, and they figured they were going to be a contender this year. They were going to be really good. But, they haven't really been getting the best goaltending. Jake Allen, currently in 23 games played, has a 3.11 goals against average and a save percentage of .899. And, it is tough for them. It is tough. They're a good team. They really are a good team, on paper, I should say. But you just expect more from them. They did so much to change this team, and it's not really working for them right now. And the Carter Hutton trade, I don't know if that maybe came back to bite them a little bit. I do like Carter Hutton, or did they let Carter Hutton go to free agency? I can't remember, but regardless, he's still not with St. Louis. He's with Buffalo, and they've been really good. In 21 games played, he has a 2.60 goals against and a 917 save percentage. So, Hutton at 32 is looking pretty good right now. He's putting up some good numbers for Buffalo. But getting back to St. Louis, it's like if they start to just open business right now, you were telling your fans in the summer that you're going for it, and now it's like, oh, we're not going for it. We're having to sell some people off here to try to salvage, some stuff that we gave up. And, they spent a lot of money, especially, I love Tyler Bozak. They spent a lot of money on him, and they spent a lot on Perron as well. And they figured that they were going to do well. Now, they've had some injuries again, and they've had some fights in practice, like Sanford was fighting in practice, I believe, against Bortuzzo. I didn't really like that on Bortuzzo's part. I think that was the guy that started throwing for no reason. But, like, Fabry's been hurt again. He's only got 4 points in 15 games, but they've also, obviously, Alex Pietrangelo, the captain, he's been injured. 24 games played, he has 11 points, but he's been injured as well. But Ryan O'Reilly leads the team. He's got 29 points in 29 games played. I'm not sure that St. Louis would be too quick to want to trade him. They just acquired him, and you're probably not going to get the same value back. Tarasenko, if he becomes available, he has 20 points in 29 games. Now, if Tarasenko becomes available and he goes to a legitimate contender, then whatever team he goes to is instantly a favorite in my eyes. I think Tarasenko is an amazing talent. Let's just go look at his numbers from his career here real quick. Tarasenko's only 27, so he's still at a really good age. Last season, he had 33 goals, 33 assists for 66 points in 80 games. 75 points the year before with 39 goals, 36 assists. The year before that, he had 40 goals. The year before that, he had 37 and was 73 and 74 points. Like, the guy just knows how to score goals, and I'm sure his production will get a little bit better as the year goes on this year. I think it'd be silly if they traded Tarasenko. I think the Blues could turn this around with some minor pieces. I think the Perron and Bozak deals are going to bite them a little bit. I don't really know if those were great fits. Perron is third in scoring right now, but he only has 18 points. I'm guessing they want a little bit more out of Bozak, who only has 11 points in 29 games. It's just not looking the greatest for St. Louis right now. They've got a pretty solid blue line. They've got some good pieces there, and I'm a really big fan of Colton Parayko as well. He's got 8 points in 29 games. A lot of people wanted him to come to Toronto. I'm a big fan of him. I would not be mad at him. I like Barbashev as well. 8 points, 27 games. Not bad. He's still a pretty young piece here. And at the center position, 22 years old. He's going to get better too. But it's just really interesting to see. And I'm kind of wondering how much the Blues would get for a guy like Tarasenko. And you'd have to think that a lot of teams would be interested, especially with a guy of his talent. Like, you don't see a guy like that often hit the market. And I don't know. I'm kind of confused with all this stuff like that. I contacted Spectors Hockey, and I was like, man, what's going on? Like, why is the St. Louis Blues, threatening to really do anything? And at this point, the tweets were misread. And Jeremy Rutherford had to go online and be like, hey, listen, guys, like, I'm not saying it's a fire sale. I'm basically saying St. Louis is kind of, open for offers. And that's certainly not a good thing either. The fans don't want to hear that one of their star players or a bunch of their star players are available. I'm sure, teams would get a flyer on Braden Shen and Alex Steen and guys like that too. But I can't see a guy like Bozak getting moved. That contract, it's just not going to move. Perron maybe, but I can't see them wanting to do that. Perron just came back and signed too. Ryan O'Reilly, don't see why they would want to do that. But Tarasenko is interesting. Pietrangelo would be interesting too, because they still have another year on that contract. And that's the thing that I was going to bring up too, as we're hitting like the 25-minute mark here. I was going to bring up the fact that I don't understand how the Blues have to make trades right now. If I'm them, I'm still telling our fan base, hey, listen, And again, like they could completely turn this around. Like we're kind of selling them short, like, oh, it's over. I know they haven't been very good, but we could go look at the NHL standings as well. But if I'm Blues fans, I'm saying, okay, like hopefully we're gonna get another run at this. Let them, have their season this year, and then come back next year and try to be, even better. So, all right, right now the Blues, like I mentioned, they're sixth in the Central Division. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, sixth. 29 games played. They have 26 points. Yeah, and there's a lot of really good teams ahead of them. You're looking at the Stars, who are really battling for a spot. Same with the Wild. And then like the difference between the Wild and the Blues is actually a significant kind of drop there. The Wild have 34 points. The Blues have 26. Now a couple losses and a couple wins on either side, that changes. But then you're looking at the Avalanche 39, the Jets 40, and then the Predators 41. And then, at the Pacific, you got Calgary's, the Sharks, the Ducks, the Knights, the Oilers really fighting. Even the Canucks, like, if they go on a run, they look scary. Like, it's going to be really hard for St. Louis to get in there. Like, I really don't know if this is going to happen. And a record right now of 11, 14, and 4, it's just not really looking great for them. So this is what I'm thinking. Let's just say the Blues kind of sit in this position all season. They kind of are mediocre. And at the end of the season, they didn't make any trades. They made a couple minor ones just to retool their offense a little bit. They let Fabry heal. They let everything, kind of pass over. And, they just let the summer come. They say, okay, we're going to give this one more run. Petrangelo's still here. We've still got all the guys we signed. We got Riley here from the trade. Ryan O'Reilly, that is. Parayko's another year older. He looks good. We're giving Allen another chance. Everything... let's just try this one more time. Fabry's going to take a step again. I believe he scored like almost 20 or over 20 in his rookie season. We're just going to give this another run. Let's go back here. I want to see if Fabry did score 20 in his rookie season. By the way, he went to my high school. He was in my graduating class. Robbie Fabry was. Let's check his numbers here. He's still fairly young. He's my age, 22 years old. Of course, he graduated with me. But, yeah, so his rookie season, he had 18 goals. The season after that, he had 11, but in 51 games. He's been injured quite a bit. He had 2 ACL surgeries. God, the guy can't stay healthy. Hopefully he stays healthy. We're going to knock on wood over here that he stays healthy. But anyways, like I mentioned, if I'm the St. Louis Blues, I'm letting the season play out. And I'm thinking, okay, let's just come back the next season. And if this doesn't work at the trade deadline, that's when you are open for business. If you have to trade Tarasenko and you got to trade Pietrangelo, those guys are going to fetch you quite a bit back. If you feel like Ryan O'Reilly is a guy that you want to move, you can as well. But you're not going to be able to move out of the Perron deal. I don't think so, and I don't think he'll want to move. I'm not sure if he has a no trade clause or anything like that. Let's go to their cap friendly as well. You're not probably going to get rid of the Bozak deal. That's probably going to stay there. I mean, depending on how Allen plays, maybe you're considering moving him. But you're probably going to get a bunch of assets back. Like Patrick Maroon, his deal's up after this year. He took the 1-year deal. That's interesting. That's a guy that I could see getting moved to a deadline at the deadline to a playoff team if people are interested. I kind of want to look at his numbers as well. If he's having a decent season here. Not really. 8 points in 22 games. Like, see, that's another thing. Like, they're just not playing that great. They fired their head coach. Mike Yeo's gone. Zachary Sanford, Barbashev, Sundqvist, Nolan, Bouwmeester, Edmondson, Bortuzzo, Butler, Billington, Gunnarsson, and Fabry. Oh, man. All those players I just mentioned need contracts. I mean, some of them... you probably don't care. Like Gunnarsson is probably gone too, but they're probably gonna have a lot of cap space. Yeah, they're gonna have $19 million in cap space. Man, they might not have as much as I thought, but regardless, a lot of those deals aren't gonna cost them too much, and the cap's gonna go up by $3 or $4 million. So, yeah, I'm thinking they're probably going to be able to move some guys out and just let this season play out and then see what happens the next year. And then if you need to move some guys, like you could probably move Braden Shen because his deal will be up in the 2020-21 season. You can just move some of the deals. I don't. They'll probably end up building around Colton Parayko and some of their younger pieces if they want to try to hold on to. If they want to keep a hold on to Fabry as well, just until he gets healthy and stuff like that. They definitely do have their work cut out for them. It's not going to be easy. They don't own a draft pick, a first round pick this year, because that was a part of the deal for Ryan O'Reilly. Man, that really sucks. You definitely want your picks, especially in a year that you're not doing so well. Like this year, the Blues don't have a first or a fourth round pick. I'm sure if they were deciding to deal guys like Tarasenko and Pietrangelo, they'll definitely acquire multiple first round picks back and players that they could use. But again, I would just let it play out. If they don't do so hot this season, just trade guys like Maroon and maybe some of these other, RFAs or UFAs that they don't feel like they're going to use the next season. And then the season after that, that's when you make your moves. If you feel like, you got to get rid of Tarasenko, you got to get rid of Pietrangelo because he's upcoming and you don't know if he's going to stay. Like, they could always work on deals for him too if they want to hold on to him, but it's going to be a very, very expensive. Lots of guys hitting the open market. So, that was just what I wanted to talk about for the Blues. And again, this is just the first podcast. It's just over half an hour. The time will probably get longer as I go on. I want to be able to make these podcasts like an hour long, but this is just the first one. I wanted to come in with a couple topics, nothing too crazy. Probably gonna go watch some basketball, edit this up, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this first episode. Again, the location will probably change as well, so the audio will be better. This was just kind of makeshift for now. And yeah, I think that this is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. It will probably be posted pretty late, so you could listen to it at night, or you can listen to it the next day. Eventually, I'd like to get this on like iTunes and, Spotify, stuff like that. But again, it's going to have to take some time. And yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad for daily hockey content. I wanted to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of this year. My main goal was 5,000. I'm hoping that's still a possibility. Not a ton of time left here, but if we can do that, that'd be awesome. So hopefully you guys will click that notification bell, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video, stream, or podcast. Peace.